You wanted to speak with me?
I've got something to show you.
What's this about? A lightsaber?
Not just any lightsaber.
It can't be.
So you recognize it?
That I do. It is the dark saber, a symbol for the leader of House Vizsla, and later the group known as Death Watch.
I didn't know Mandalorians developed a type of lightsaber.
We didn't. This was one of a kind. Legend tells that it was created over 1,000 years ago by Tar Vizsla, the first Mandalorian ever inducted into the Jedi Order. After his passing, the Jedi kept the saber in their temple. That was until members of House Vizsla snuck in and liberated it. They used the saber to unify the people and strike down those who would oppose them. One time, they ruled all of Mandalore wielding this blade. This saber is an important symbol to that house and respected by the other clans.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And this is my review of Boba Fett episode 5. Now, last week I said Boba Fett is improving, and we looked into my top 5 villains who could turn this season around. But boy, after seeing episode 5, who cares about the villains? We have Mando Din Djarin back. And this episode was excellent, guys. It just made me miss the Mandalorian even more. The Book of Boba Fett episode 5 is essentially a backdoor pilot to the Mandalorian season 3. There's no child in his possession anymore, so what are his goals? Everything about this episode was top flight. Everything about this episode was a top flight adventure that we've not seen in any of the Boba Fett episodes to date. That's how well loved and deep the lore is in the Mandalorian series. So he finds the armorer, who I call the blacksmith, but I guess we have got to call her the armorer, and Paz Vizsla, the last survivors of their clan who inspected the dark saber that he'd won from Moff Gideon. Paz states that there are fewer of 20 of them left in the clan. Paz is a heavy infantry fighter who uses a large minigun-like blaster as well as a jetpack. And Paz Vizsla is voiced by Jon Favreau, the creator and showrunner of The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. As you guys know, also, he's Happy Hogan in the Avengers and directed the first Iron Man movie and The Lion King as well. But the armorer explains that the Darksaber was forged by a Mandalorian Jedi over 1,000 years ago. Whoever wins it in combat can become the ruler of the planet of Mandalore. Though the planet was destroyed by the Empire in the Great Purge, those laws still live on. Now, Paz Vizsla is a descendant of the Jedi who created the Darksaber, and he challenges Din Djarin to a duel as their way to win the Darksaber for himself. Now, Djarin defeats Vizsla, but reveals that he broke their clan's code by previously removing his helmet. Now, I was kind of oohing and ahhing like, oh, what do? Do you lie? And you shouldn't really lie, especially to your old clan. And I think she wasn't probing. I think this is something that the armorer does every time they do battle, because she also asks Paz Vizsla the same question. But it was just a shame that he had to tell the truth, and he's been punished by it now. And of course, he departs for Tatooine. Now he lands in Mos Eisley and visits our famous grease monkey, Pelimoto, who has a replacement Naboo N1 fighter. I'll say that again. She has a replacement Naboo N1 fighter for him. Now, those ships were like 30, 40 years back. And remember how the timeline shifts forward from the Phantom Menace. So, yeah, it's really strange to see that after 4 decades, a ship has survived for that long as a relic, really. So, God, a lot of memories, man. And he takes a test flight with this Naboo fighter, and it was just a lot of memories from the Phantom Menace. And you just get more of the Star Wars universe in The Mandalorian than you do in Boba Fett. Now, Fennec Shan arrives and asks Din Djarin to help Fett, because remember, he's looking for bodyguards. The biker crew Power Rangers that he got ain't really going to cut the mustard. So he just needs to strengthen his resolve, especially if he's going to take on the Pikes. And not just that, but when Din Djarin agreed, he said, I have to visit a little friend first, meaning we're going to see baby Grogu again. So I can't wait for that. Also, guys, we get all sorts of cool stuff in this episode. Din takes the Naboo N1 for a spin in Beggar's Cannon. Beggar's Cannon, guys, the famous pod race site from the Phantom Menace. Also, the New Republic cop, Captain Carson Teva, who saved Din Djarin from the snow spiders in the last season of Mandalorian, he figured out who he was, and Din Djarin lost him again in space in this episode. There's also, guys, a video game callback with one of the droids helping Mando build the Naboo N1. The Pokemon-type robot was in Star Wars, a game called Jedi Fallen Order. Funny enough, today they just announced Jedi Fallen Order 2. And he's normally, the little robot is your partner in crime named the BD1 unit. So that was really good. Gamers were the ones that sort of visually saw that. For most people, it was just a tiny little droid running around. But guys, man, I wish this episode was the start of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. And next week, a reunion with Grogu. I'm so excited about it. We've gone from average Boba Fett episodes to being thrown right back into the amazing world of The Mandalorian. Also, learning that Mando's fighting with the Darksaber carries its own risk. Of course, I knew it, but a lot of people who don't follow Star Wars series like The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels probably didn't really know about this. So if you didn't really know, Sabine was training with the Darksaber in the Clone Wars. The Darksaber with her also got heavier in combat. So the armorer asks Din Djarin if he's actually fighting the Darksaber rather than fighting with it. So I'll explain if you're new to how the sword works, and if you didn't watch Star Wars Rebels Season 3. The episode was called Trials of the Darksaber, showing Sabine Wren training with the sword. So the Darksaber has phantom weightness. According to Kanan Jarrus, now the Darksaber is considerably harder to wield than your average lightsaber because energy flows through the crystal. You're not fighting with a simple blade as much as you are directing a current of power. Your thoughts, your actions, they become energy. They flow through the crystal as well and become part of the blade. Meaning, guys, an undisciplined fighting style that lacks control and acceptance over their thoughts and feelings will find the dark blade heavier to use. Now, Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, he's obviously hurt. He's lost the only person he's ever cared about giving up, and that was Grogu. He gave up Grogu to Luke Skywalker and learned how his entire Mandalorian faction is actually an extremist cult. Not to mention, his ship was destroyed by the Empire. That's why more of Djarin's energy is flowing into the Darksaber's crystal rather than through it. In fact, he only beat Paz Vizsla when he was depossessed with the blade. Yeah, when he lost the Darksaber and Paz had it, and then Paz got weakened by it, that's the only thing that turned the fight around.
Remember the forms Ezra taught you.
The blade feels lighter.
You're connecting with it. It's becoming a part of you.
You ran from the Empire. You ran from your family.
Lies!
So what's the truth?
Truth is it? I left to save everyone. My mother! My father! My brother! Everything I did was for family! For Mandalore! I built weapons. Terrible weapons! But the Empire used them on Mandalore. On friends. On family. People that I knew. They controlled us through fear. Mandalore. Fear of weapons I helped create. I helped enslave my people!
So, Kanan Jarrus made Sabine learn what the lightsaber was before her Darksaber training began, and Sabine faced her fears and anger over the fate of Mandalore. She eventually acknowledges that the blade feels lighter, which, of course, attributes to establishing a connection between the weapon and her race. So, a similar bond must be forged by the Mandalorian, channeling those emotions and energies in the right way, rather than letting them pull his emotions apart. Seeing Baby Grogu next week, I guess, will help. Speaking of the youngling, the lack of Baby Yoda in our lives, guys, is just too much. It's too hard to take these days. We're missing him so much, and I can't wait for next week and Season 3 of Mandalorian. I'm more invested into Din's love of Grogu and his struggles with both the Darksaber than I am with anything to do with Boba Fett right now. The Mandalorian has had way more character development than Boba Fett has ever had in this entire series. And this isn't even the Mandalorian's show. This, guys, is a very strong 8 out of 10. And just what the show needed to get back on track. Pelly's jokes about dating Jar Wars was funny. Hearing her speak like one, even more so. Guys, Star Wars is 44 years old, and there's tons of nostalgia to be had with it. And what we got in this episode was more of that. Some fans will be upset that Mandalorian staff was melted down, but it's way too much of a risk for Mandalorians. It's a weapon that can be used. And remember, lightsabers can't even pierce Beskar armor, but Beskar can pierce Beskar. So that's the reason why technically he had to get rid of it. But the good news is it will be used as a new armor for Grogu. So this episode, guys, really is season 3 of Mandalorian, and it couldn't have come at a better time. That's it from me, guys. I'll speak to you guys on the next one. Hope you enjoyed the review, and peace out.